I'm Joyce Hornady. You might say accuracy is my business. I make bullets.
You are listening to the Hornady Podcast.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. This is the Hornady Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Seth. I'm excited about today's episode. This is the first of what I'm going to call a mini-series, a series within a series. And to usher in the new year and this new mini-series, I've got marketeer Preston Lentfer and project engineer, custom die engineer, Ben Syring. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. You changed the intro again. You used to be, I'm Seth Swerzik. Welcome to the Hornady Podcast. Now you say, this is
the Hornady Podcast.
And
well,
that's true.
Welcome.
It's true.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. And this is the first recording. I'm not sure if it will be when this will go out, but this is the first recording of 2025.
In 1 week's time.
In 1 week's time. Now, 2025 sounds like a made-up year. That, like, you know, when you were in second grade and you had to draw what the future would be like in 2025.
Where the heck is my jetpack?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I thought we'd be in, Jetson cars.
Yeah.
The Jetsons. Or
That was great.
Am I too old over you guys?
I know it. I mean, you are old. But
yeah. It was on Cartoon Network when I was a kid. It was great.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. His dog, Leroy.
That's right. Exactly.
So, this mini-series.
If you don't get into it, the people are going to be mad. We small talk too much.
We do, yeah. Let's get
That's
right
ridiculous,
into it.
Which is ridiculous. So I like to small talk.
I want to get into it because I'm excited about this. Now, this idea was really not pitched or discussed. It was just decided by the decider, Preston, apparently, that we're just doing this. And I
don't give all the credit to Preston.
Okay.
Ben has a heavy hand.
Well, anyways, I'm really excited about this. And what this mini-series is going to be a how-to wildcat. I feel like, growing up and being in our tech days, years ago, wildcatting was still very much alive and well. Now, wildcatting was the thing in, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And you could look at, the decades that had their boom. You had the 25 cal craze and the 270 and the 7 millimeter. Then you had the 6 millimeter craze in the 50s. And it was a really exciting, group of decades there. A lot of cartridge development. And there's really nothing new under the sun anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't still wildcat, that you can't do something just to say you did it. And I feel like that group of people that are actively wildcatting is probably getting a little smaller. Now, there's some that have, in recent years, become incredibly popular, and for good reason, like the Sherman series of cartridges and the Sherman short mags. A lot of people really like those series of wildcats. And there's just something cool about wildcatting. There's something cool about doing it yourself.
Something maybe a little bit sketchy about not having any pressure or reloading data whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Just history. I mean, that's all you have when you go into this route. If you're taking something that was already there and maybe changing a little bit more, you got to use what folks have done in the past. So that's all you have.
And
there's nothing on paper. Yeah, that's what it's about.
It's the essence of hand loading in a nutshell.
Makes it cool.
So what we want to do was, I'm going to first off pitch it over to you guys to talk about who decided this, and then let's talk about real quick how we're going to structure, or how we think we're going to structure this podcast series. And then we'll talk about the meat of today's topic, which is, okay, you want to do something cool. You want to do something just to say you did it. Well, how do you pick what you're going to do? What are some design parameters that you should consider when picking which cartridge to wildcat? So first off, how did you guys decide? What spurred this idea? Because like I said, it's not a dying craft, but it's...
So it was as the world becomes more technological.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the right word.
That's a word.
They decided they wanted a QR code in our reloading section.
The marketing gurus at Hornady.
Perhaps maybe just Steve. He's like, hey, we need to have a video showing hydraulic form dies.
Okay.
Because there's a page, maybe a whole page dedicated to it in the reloading catalog, and
it's dedicated to custom dies, but there's a nice picture of a hydraulic form die, the case before, the case after.
Sure. But, a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth whatever, a lot more. I was tasked with making a video on hydraulic form dies, and that will be coming. So I went to my main man, Ben, here, has a little bit to do with dyes here at Hornady. And I said, hey, I know you had a 280 Ackley set of hydraulic form dyes that when I first started, maybe a couple years after, So it's probably 6-7 years ago. I remember he had the intern hydraulically forming 280 Remington in a 280 Ackley.
I did. Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
Johnny Utah. You bet.
Connor, if you're listening, good to hope you're doing well. Yeah. But yeah, so I said, hey, do you still have that hydraulic form set? I told him I need to make a video.
Give me 2.
And we found it. It's in a little rougher shape
Well,
right now.
he did probably 1,000 cases with this thing.
Yep.
And
you showed me the box of cases. It's huge.
it's a big box. And the bad part is we got done, and then somebody went to Sammy with the 280 Ackley, and now we got brass.
Now
That's
we make
head
brass
stamped properly.
right for it.
So I still have that box of hydraulically formed. Thanks, Connor. Again, I'll use it someday.
Yeah.
But it was
Or
it was
your
beat up
kids
a
or your
little bit.
grandkids will use it someday.
Oh, somebody.
Yeah,
I mean,
somebody
I got to
will
have
use it.
projects when I retire, right?
So it started off with, hey, Steve Hornady says, I need a video that demonstrates how to use a hydraulic form die. What is a hydraulic form die?
Yeah, video to follow.
And you said, okay, well, let's take this one step further. We've got Ben, who custom makes hydraulic form dies.
Right. So the dies were a little bit beat up, right? They were going to take some work to make them video presentation
Surface rust,
quality. You hit it with a darn hammer.
Yeah.
Sure. They're a little,
yeah.
They're a little beat up. So Ben says, why don't we just,
Make
I don't know. You just kind of went for it from the get-go. Let's do this whole big kit and caboodle.
All right. So okay. So that's what I like to do. 280. Okay. 280's cool, but it's now Sammy. Is it a Wildcat anymore? No. Okay. And there's still guys that do hydraulic form dies for standard cartridges. They want from new brass to fired by their chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So basically their first fired round is like a already fired round that they resized and put back in their chamber.
Viewers, this is a joke, but when they die, they will be examined for obsessive compulsive disorder to the max.
I'm pretty sure my kids already have me in line for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I said, okay, it started when I was a kid. Neighbor down the road had a Ruger, I don't know if it was Mark II or what it was, rifle in 25-06. Okay.
A classic.
And kill deer all the time at 400 yards. And as a kid, I was like,
That's a quarter mile.
I got to have one of those.
Yeah.
I got to have a 25 caliber, right? So that's how it started. Well, 25-06, it's old, it's classic, it's a great cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then of course, my mind started spinning. We got bullets. Oh, we got bullets that take advantage of. They won't work good in the 25-06 because the old traditional twist rates. So now we've got modern bullets for 25 cal, quarter bore, hot dog,
Mm-hmm.
What can we do with this? Oh.
Better Wildcat something.
So I said 25. Instantly, he said 25-06 Ackley improved.
No, remember, before all this, before we went to 25 caliber, I had my mind made up.
Oh, 6.5
for what reason?
6.5
6 Ackley. Yes, and then I swung to 25 because of my.
Well, and then we've
affinity.
got some
25s.
new 25 cal high BC bullets that
Yeah.
I want to use.
I mean, let's go for it, and we might have more. I mean, if 25 caliber kicks back in,
25 for 25. Let's do it.
yeah, exactly.
There
It's
you go. That's why we did
2025,
it. That's
right?
why we
Yeah,
did.
let's.
So
He claims
we
that, but
thought
we can't
about
claim
that.
that.
Yeah.
So that's why we decided 25 cal.
Yeah. And so that's really how it all started. Was you got assigned, I need a video on the hydraulic form die. Ben said, well, let's just do a series on it. And so the series, we're going to do how to Wildcat. And we're going to walk the listeners through every step of our process. So this episode, we're going to focus on how we ended on the cartridge that we ended on and what we thought about that dissuaded us from other cartridges. And that's today's episode. And in future episodes, we're going to walk through how to order a custom reamer and some of the dimensional tolerances and dimensions that you should be considerate of. We're going to go through the actual builds, kind of doing it like a uber budget, kind of a moderate budget, and then a full-blown custom. We're all three building one. We're going to go through the low development process and then wrap it up with the finished product. And we're going to talk about the dies, the whole process, the reamers, everything. And that's really cool. That's the essence of the exploration of wildcatting and reloading that I think was really alive and well in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And it's still alive today. We're just going to breathe some new fire into it.
Yeah, it doesn't really need to be, but it's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And the fact that we get the opportunities to do this, that's
cool.
Just great. And anybody can do it. You don't have to work for an ammunition and reloading company to be able to do this.
No.
Okay. We're doing it because we're given the leniency too. We needed a video, and by gosh, we can turn this into a podcast and we can all have some cool rifles. And
by gosh, and by
you
golly.
can't, by golly, you can't go to the store and buy this ammo.
Nope.
Not when we're done.
It's got to be custom.
The 22 Advanced Rifle Cartridge easily outperforms all other 22 caliber cartridges in its class, producing 22 250 performance in an AR-15 platform. The 22 ARC is engineered to take full advantage of the most aerodynamic 22 caliber bullets. This means tighter groups, increased accuracy, and an exceptional shooting experience. 22 Advanced Rifle Cartridge from Hornady.
All right, so when you set up, all right, we're going to do how-to Wildcat, and we're going to focus on the hydraulic forming dies. Preston, your initial reaction was there's a ton of 6.5 bullets. The 6.5-06 is pretty cool. Ackley improved that baby, 40-degree shoulder. It's going to look like the Apollo space shuttle, long and sleek, and you've got the bullets to go with it. You're going to have plenty of velocity. I see that. Did you consider other things? And why'd you gravitate to the 6.5-06?
The reason, honestly, if you get way down into my core, into my soul,
the cockles of your heart.
Yes, the reason that I was enamored by it was, the 6.5 284 has got a good reputation.
Absolutely.
A fantastic reputation. But the one and only year I shot the Night 4 ELR match, there was a tie for first place, and the tiebreaker went to this one gentleman, and he won it with a 6.5-06 Ackley.
And you placed pretty well. Let's not breeze over that.
This guy did awesome with a 6.5-06 Ackley, and I was just kind of shocked.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of cartridges that would do what it does.
6.5 PRC.
6.5 PRC.
Hot rod is 6.5 284.
Weatherby RPM, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff that will do it, but this fit the bill. It would hydraulically form shoulders, and I would have a accurate, and I don't really have a long action standard bolt face rifle right now. Right. And I thought, let's just do that.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if somebody was like, hey, you have to Wildcat a cartridge, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably go 6.5 as well.
There's just so many bullets, and they're accurate.
And they're so effective. I can shoot monolithics. I could shoot lead core. I could go hunting up to and including elk at the appropriate ranges. There's a lot of things you can do with 6.5, and you're low in recoil. Your barrel life's really good. So for me, tasked with this as well, I'd probably do something, I'm going to say stupid, and I don't mean that super derogatory, but I would have done like a 308 neck down, so it'd be like a 260, and do like a 35-degree improvement or something to take out some of the taper.
Yeah, and there's probably something like that already.
It already exists, just like 6.5-06 does as well. But that's, I don't know, short action.
I don't think that's stupid.
No,
I took the 400 Jeffrey case down to 338.
Terminator, I think.
Yeah. The 338 Big Ben. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That's stupid. But it's stupid fast, too.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, and so for me, I think I would have gone moderate, conservative, let the bullet do the work versus the 338 Big Ben, which is pushing our 285 at all the velocity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause I have no place to shoot super far, and I don't have any animals that require that anyway. So we naturally gravitated toward 6.5. I'm a 25 cal purist at heart as well. So when Preston asked me my thoughts on it, I initially told him, well, let's do it 25-06 improved.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And
he came to me. Well, I looked at it.
And so this is where we get into some of the design attributes that you need to think about inclusively. Think about all of the components of the build, the barrel, the action, the magazine, the bullets you want to shoot. Just like we do with cartridge design, you have to think about things backward. You have to take your end result and how do I get to that end result, making sure everything works together holistically. And we almost made what I'm going to call a critical error by going with the 25-06 improved, specifically around the new bullets that you talked about, Ben.
Correct.
The 134 ELD match and the 138 grain A-tip.
Yeah.
I mean, those are long-range missiles. Those things are awesome. And you dissuaded Preston from the 25-06 improved simply because of the bullet lengths.
Exactly. I
Now,
wanted the
not
bullet.
everybody has computer programs like you do, but
Correct.
you can certainly tell them how they could do it.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you can easily take the bullet length, and I looked at where the boat tail would end up. I wanted as much case capacity as I could. So, and because of donuts, if you're familiar with the donuts at the neck shoulder
Let's
junction.
take a quick dive. Go ahead
Okay.
and define.
The donuts, as cases are formed, okay, the brass forms up that shoulder and comes up the neck. And as it's fired in size, that brass is moving forward. As you know, you have to trim. But it actually flows past in the middle, inside. Your outside is held with the die, but your inside creates a little bit of a donut right at that neck shoulder junction, or it can, okay? For some people, it's never a problem.
For almost all people, it's never a problem.
You seat your bullet down in there, it expands out. But when we're going to do a custom chamber, I don't want that donut being a problem. So I wanted the bullet seated above that. So the boat tail, bearing surface of the bullet, I wanted it above that junction if I wanted it to be.
Yeah, if
I can be shorter, but if I wanted to eliminate donuts, I wanted it out there. For custom build guys such as you didn't care because of magazine length. I'm going to use a Remington Action that I blueprinted several years ago. I may have talked about it on this podcast before, my 338-06.
Which is another great cartridge.
What's your idea of several?
I don't know. I've been here for 20. I've been here for 20 years, so yeah. I still haven't finished.
It was before I worked here, so
I still haven't finished my first Wildcat. When I started here 20 years ago, the 7x57 AI.
You're almost done.
I'm almost done, but
the 7mm HK. It's a great cartridge.
So I looked at that and I said, by the time I get that A-tip out there,
yeah, the 138
I'm
A-tip.
going to have to modify my magazine, and I don't want to. I don't want to, because I'm using I'm not having a magazine-fed rifle.
No, it's a classic 700
That's
BDL.
right. And it does have an HS precision stock, but I'm still limited for my load length. I didn't want any problems with that feeding, okay? Because I'm seeing a coyote wrecking machine, right?
Oh.
So I said, can't do it. I said, we can't. I don't feel comfortable doing that and having to modify this. I want this to be for those that want it to be a simple build.
The reason why it wouldn't fit in your magazine, because you designed, you were designing things so that the boat tail was 50 thousandths above
Ahead
the neck
of that.
shoulder
Yeah,
junction.
sorry, I skipped that. Yes, I wanted the boat tail to be seated above that donut, so the donut never comes into play with my bullet or my outside diameters for the
So it would chamber smooth. And
exactly.
Yep.
So my tolerances between cartridge and chamber aren't affected.
And out of all of the ways to get rid of a donut, this is the best one.
Yeah,
just let
Just
it.
don't
always
worry about
work.
it.
Otherwise, you've got to turn it out of there, or you got to push it to
And
the
those aren't
outside
the-
and neck turn it.
Those aren't the greatest ways of doing it, because
No,
they might
and-
show up again.
That's right. And we didn't want to, obviously, I don't want to have to do as much work. I wanted a good Wildcat that was simple.
Of course.
Yeah.
So right away, I gravitated to what was already out there, something Ackley had done.
Sure.
Head spaces at the same junction so you can fire form, even though we're going to use a hydraulic form die.
Yep. Before we get there, real quick, there is a way.
Yeah.
So if the user, the listener's like, but I want to do a 25-06 improved and I want to shoot those long bullets. If you're going to do it on a standard 700 or a factory action, like a 700 is a good example. There's still ways around that.
You can do it.
Wyatt's, very popular company. Wyatt's makes an extended box magazine, and you have to have a gunsmith who you're all going to be involved with. You have to have a gunsmith move that bolt stop and just lengthen things out a little bit. So it can be
take it
done.
to the old milling machine. Now, not the infinite axis.
No, you don't want to do that.
You
on
want to do a real
no.
one. Yeah.
But so before we get there, I wanted the listener to know.
There's other ways besides that as well. If you're stuck to, or if you're decided that it's going to be a hinge floor plate, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
But there's also magazines that work for it as well. The HS Precision Box Mag. You can go and change the floor, the bottom metal to an M5, and then a standard 30-06 SIP length will more than accommodate 3.340 and longer. Longer is the important thing, because that's the basis of what we were working on right here. Is it had to fit 3.340 or shorter.
Yep.
That's why we went
with the 138A tip in a 25-06 length case, just a little bit too long. And we didn't want to get into the Wyatt's extended cuts there. So, Ben, as you were alluding to, you looked through, okay, we decided 25 for 25. If we're going to do a Wildcat, it's going to be a 25. We've got these cool new bullets. What led you down the path to what you ultimately chose? Because there's a lot of good candidates. They don't even know yet. No.
Well, if we're going to improve something, we want some improvement. We knew 25 Ackley improved, 257 Roberts Ackley improved, to be exact, was one of Ackley's.
He loved it.
Better performers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between the
7x57.
Yep.
The 257 Roberts AI. And
280.
280.
Those are about the most three that gained the most.
Absolutely. And I said, so we want to gain some velocity with our bullets. We can go to a better twist barrel. So we settled on that, but I knew when I looked at it wasn't. No, we didn't quite settle. I looked at it and I said, well, this won't do what we want. I still can't get the bullet out there without making some changes to the reamer. So, but I said, I've always wanted the 25-06, so we settled on a 257 Roberts. Why? Because it fit all of those parameters that we started. I can get that A-tip seated out there, 50 thousandths ahead of that donut I talked about, and I can still put it in that 3.04 or 3.340, and it'll fit in there.
And we'll have the actual numbers in another episode, but this is somewhere along the lines of 3.1 something. And so it still fits. And for you, I mean, you say you settled, but for us, and especially for you, it's kind of
for me,
romanticized, right?
It really is. Well, and it's cool that it's like, okay, P.O. Ackley improved everything, and then his disciples improved everything, and some of it's just cool, and then some of it, there was actual performance to be gained. Where, you're not talking 1-2%. You're talking 3, 4, 5, 6% improvement on velocity. The 280 and the 257 and the 7x57, those three really shine as getting some of the most improvement. You throw in the correct twist barrel for these cool new bullets. You throw in that added, you've got room. You're not encroaching on your powder capacity, compounded by the fact that we live in the best powder ever in the world right now.
Yeah.
We were.
We used to. But Reloader 26, some of those new high performance double base spherical propellants and extruded propellants that are still
23 might be really good.
23 classic 4831 is probably going to do well. But there's plenty of meat on the bone. Now, you went 257, which is kind of an interesting case length. When you look at cartridge cases, you have long action, 30-06 based variants, and you have short action, kind of 308 based variants. The 257, which is a child of the 7x57, is a unique case length where you can fit it in a short action if you use really small bullets.
Yeah.
And if you use, I'm going to call normal bullets, it still has to go into a long action. So this will take advantage of the long action, because you put a 117 grain bullet in a 257 and push it out a little bit. Now you're into a long action, but you're not using any of that capacity, barely any of it.
Right.
So this really maximizes that.
The HIT Target Impact Indicator. Instant hit confirmation at extended ranges has never been easier. The HIT Target Impact Indicator easily attaches to most target stands and not the steel target itself. The highly sensitive internal accelerometer detects vibration when the target is impacted, activating the red LED lights that flash Morse code for HIT. Where impact confirmation can be difficult, light it up with the HIT Target Impact Indicator from Hornady.
So the 257, kind of a unique case length. Why did you go with the 257 and Roberts over, say, something short action like a 308 base case, or something more like dedicated long action?
I thought that we just wanted long actions from the get-go, didn't we?
Because they started with the long action.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted a long action cartridge, and I wanted to take advantage of that long action, and I wanted to fit in that magazine, and I wanted performance. If I'd have went with something short or short action, I could have still used my long action, but I'd be wasting that capacity that can hold. And let's face it, I'm not a velocity pig, but I wanted to get some improvement out of it, right?
You want
I mean, ultimately, that's why we decided on the 257 Roberts.
And I didn't have, like I said before, I don't have a long action standard bolt face rifle right now, and I wanted one.
To summarize all this, really, it's why'd you choose that one? Because we're wildcatting, and that's what I want. That's the beauty of it. It's what you want.
And I don't want to feel like I pushed these guys, but I probably did.
Nope.
I mean,
not me.
because I do the dies, and if he had something I didn't want to do, I just changed his mind. But I also want to say that we took another aspect into this too. What did we have available? Not only rifles, did we have some Roberts brass? Okay, so that's something else a wildcatter's got to look at. Look, I've got all this brass here. What can I do with it? So that we took that into effect too, and we knew we could get some Roberts brass. I have some at home. I think Preston probably have some. You've got some, so we've got what we needed to do this. So that helped us with this decision as well.
And one of the other things that we kind of glanced over, the three cartridges that really did well for Ackley, the two of them, 7x57 and 257 Roberts, improved. They gained so much via improvement. Why is that?
Well, they started out with a huge taper. I mean, they were really sleek missiles with a ton of taper.
On the body.
On the body of the cartridge. Okay. So when we blow that taper out, such as Ackley did, and then we move that shoulder forward, we increase the capacity of that case quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why they gained the most. I mean, some of them gained 200 feet per second over their counterparts.
And you'd think a shoulder doesn't make that much difference, but when you put the body taper into it.
When you eliminate the body taper, it's huge.
And we'll get into it in a future episode.
Because it's the same reason why the 220 Swift improved is a big deal. 220 Swift, again, super long taper. When they improve that, it's already a hot rod. You make it even.
You turn that one to 11.
Turn it to 11.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right.
Cartridges do need some taper, and we'll talk about that in future episodes when we talk about ordering the reamer and getting a custom reamer made.
Yep.
That they still need some taper, but they don't need all the taper. And I'm excited about this one. I think the 257 Roberts, over its course of existence, has seen the 257. The 257 improved, the 257 standard plus P, which is now the standard, which is plus P, still operates at a pretty modest pressure. So just in that, I think there's plenty of meat on the bone. Throw in the awesome new bullets that are available in 25 caliber, and you've really got an exciting Wildcat that is super useful. Like you said, you talking coyote killing machine. That I just love banging steel, laying down, shooting something far away. And you're going to have high BC bullets, low drag at high velocity. And for hitting stuff far away, that's a recipe for success.
Absolutely. And you can see our excitement with this thing. I mean, it's pumped. I've done other things, but now we're doing it as a group. It's cool because of what I do. Wildcats never really went away in my mind because I deal with them.
I think they slowed down in the past few years,
but they have lulls, say valleys and peaks.
Sure.
But they're always there in my mind because of what I do daily.
Yeah. Well, and I would
People
also
are always
think
calling.
Your phone never stopped ringing, and especially through COVID and what will, that whole period, every other company, not every company, but a lot of the companies that had custom shops closed their custom shop. So where do those calls go? The places that still have a custom shop.
Exactly.
And so I think, for you probably saw steady state, if maybe slight growth, because you're just getting more volume because people are closing down their custom shops, which is unfortunate. But again, we'll take advantage of it. We got Ben right here. We'll get some custom dies, hydraulically form our cases. Now, I do want to talk about wildcatting, where you're trying to get some improvement. But one of the cool parts to an Ackley improvement, you talked about the head spacing. They're still going to head space, so you can still take, in our case, a 257 Roberts plus P, put it in the chamber of our 257 improved, fire form it. Pull the trigger, what comes out is a fire formed case. And in a lot of cases, those can be very, very accurate
Absolutely.
as well.
And that's my goal. If we can do this right and we design that chamber correctly, that'll be just as accurate as your 257 Roberts was when it started.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm pumped about it. I have a 22K Hornet. I have yet to load for the K because the 22 Hornet shoots so darn accurate out of it. I just keep fireforming cases. I don't need to load. It shoots so darn accurate. I suppose when I retire, I'll start loading them and work up some data. But that's the goal I wanted to hit, so that you put a 257 Roberts in it. We all have been places where, I forgot my ammo. I can run the store, pick up a box of 257 Roberts, which is still pretty popular.
Yeah.
And I can still hunt.
Well, I'm excited. Now, we talked about long-range target shooting coyotes. That's going to be great. We make a 90 grain CX in 25 caliber. Now, is it the most ballistically efficient bullet ever? No, it's not. However, it is no slouch. And out of a 257 improved, are you kidding me? I'm thinking Antelope 2025.
Yeah, and the velocity that we're going to gain with that 90 grain extends our range. 2035. Well, I got to do it now, folks. They're committing.
Yeah, we're going to put your feet to the fire on this one.
We're going to do podcasts. I'm going to have to finish this build.
Yeah. Well, luckily you got a 15-year head start to get your parts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
all right.
Sorry to give you gruff.
That's all right. It happens.
Where I was going with that was, we're talking mainly varmints and just target shooting and having an accurate fun system in general. There's a huge hunting application to this where the 25 calibers, if you look into the 30s, the 25s really solved the problem, which was, okay, I'm out hunting antelope, I'm out hunting deer in the plains, and, there's a coyote. Or I want to shoot some prairie dogs, but I also want to be able to shoot that antelope as well with the same gun and cartridge combination. And so you have a bullet diameter, which brings bullet weight that is not super giant and overkill for primarily coyotes or rock chucks or things like that. But you have a bullet weight and diameter that's equally capable for those medium-sized game animals. And when you crank up the velocity with some really, effective bullets terminally, this thing for hunting is going to be just flat awesome. And I killed my first deer with the 257 Roberts, laid him out. I can only imagine this is going to be
it's going to be good. And I've already piqued the interest of the guy that we're going to work on to cut our barrels. This long range yield A-tips and yield. He's a hunter by heart. And I said, what about that 90 grainer that you did? Oh, started piquing his interest right away. I said, imagine
we might have to get
the
4
velocity
barrels on order.
Yeah, we might have to get 4. I think we might get him in. He's obviously going to be involved. So
and the thing that I really like about it is going away from the .6 is, yes, we are losing case capacity, and I'm really okay with it.
I am
too.
Because I'm too.
I've got Miles played with the 25 PRC, right?
Yep,
and I've
6.5
got a couple of his
PRC,
barrels.
neck down. Yep.
And it's you wouldn't think it's that much more overboard, but if you do the calculation between 6.5 PRC and 25 PRC, there's quite a bit of difference. So we're just coming off the gas a little bit. We're stepping on the gas, but not all the way, right?
Yep.
It's going to be a nice happy
And I'm going to
medium.
date myself a bit. A long time ago, probably before we worked on the RCM line of cartridges.
Yep.
We did a 250, a 25 in that too, and never could get it because of that overbore.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
Yep.
To make it run like we wanted it to
well,
run.
I had nothing to do with it. Miles and a few others that have played with that, for those listening, there was some mild success. Oh yeah, it works great. And then there was also, it works great, except for like every 10th shot, one just goes haywire. It was just very inconsistent at best.
It was a bit anemic. It was hard to load for too.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Finicky.
the opposite of anemic. It was certainly finicky. The numbers
Finicky,
on it were
I guess,
fantastic,
better word.
Yeah.
right? Like
Ballistically, it was awesome.
it was great, but
we couldn't get enough consistency, shot after shot after shot after shot, to go, oh, hey, maybe we should consider doing this as a real cartridge. We couldn't get it to
And if you're a
run.
wildcatter and you're out there doing it and love it,
Thumbs up.
great. Awesome.
Great.
I like your thought process, though, Preston. We're losing capacity when you compare it to, say, a 25-06. However, we're just shrinking the fuel cell, so we're still going to step on the throttle. We're just putting a smaller fuel tank in it.
Yeah.
Utilize your space your way with the modular Hornady Security Square Lock Organizing System. Mount the Square Lock panels anywhere in your home or shop. Then attach the wide assortment of Square Lock accessories to securely store firearms, tools, gear, or any other valuables in any possible configuration. Keep your reloading bench or gun room organized with the Square Lock Modular Organizing System from Hornady Security.
And that also relates to bullet RPM, which is something to be mindful of. You know, we're talking about varmint hunting, coyote hunting. You want to go with a little bit lighter bullet. Well, if you have a fast twist barrel, such to stabilize these really long, sleek bullets, RPM is something you could consider as well. Back, rewind the clocks maybe a decade ago when the 22 Creedmoor was still in its infancy phases, you had people building 7-twist 22 Creedmoors, 6.5 twist 22 Creedmoors. You had people building 12-twist 22 Creedmoors. Everybody wanted to shoot a 55-grain bullet. Some of them weren't making to the target with those faster twists.
Yeah, you see this gray puff of smoke and go, what happened?
Yeah.
And we've elected to go with 7.5 twists.
Yes.
To accommodate, the 138 and the 134 new offerings. The 90 grain CX will be just fine in them, but that's
I
really
think the
all
117 BTSP, the old traditional, will be fine as well.
Probably
killed my first deer with it.
Yep, I think you'll be able to kill one this year with a little bit of an improvement.
Well, my oldest son is old enough to hunt this fall.
Boom.
So he's going to be sporting a 25 cal of some variety.
Be cool if it was this one.
Unrelated,
That would be
semi-related, going on a pheasant hunt, and I keep my legacy rifles in a special case, or not rifles, my legacy guns, and legacy might not be the right word, but inside there is my grandpa Swerzik, who I never got to meet. I have his 22 short pump action that sat behind their bedroom door. One of the only heirlooms from him left in the family, and so I ended up with that, which is really cool. I plan on building a nice ornate display case at some point. Right in that same case, I have my 257 Roberts, got the old Ruger. So that's in there. And the whole point of the story is going on a pheasant hunt. I have a Winchester 101 from 1967 in there, full over mod, just beautiful gun. I shoot that thing with my eyes closed.
Can't put in chokes.
Chokes, no, barrels
send it off.
However, I laid my hands on it this morning on my 257, and I was like, man, maybe next year Brock will just hunt with this.
I got an idea. Dad should pony up for Brock 2 tags. 257 Roberts.
They're cheap enough.
in our new Wildcat.
All right, there
Let's
we
see
go.
the performance of both.
So I'm excited to build mine. I'm going to go full custom. Custom action, everything to the nines. And I'm thinking hunting rifle. All right. So I'll just give the listener what my vision is. What are your guys' vision for your rifle?
Mine's also a hunting rifle.
Okay.
And do we want to reveal what we're doing already?
No, I was just giving them an idea of like.
I want a hunting rifle, and mine's going to be something that was near and dear to my heart when I started here, and I've kind of gone away from. Still have a rifle or two.
Very budget friendly.
Budget friendly. A lot of attributes that you really want in an action are in this action.
Okay. Yep. And Ben, what are you doing? What's your vision?
And by the way, I'll probably change the stock. I'm literally only using the action. Go ahead, Ben.
Right. But you purchased an action for this build.
Because it's a rifle.
You purchased a rifle. So he's going to tear apart a
factory
perfectly new factory gun that's probably only been proof tested.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to rip it apart.
All my shooters
tomato steaks, right? Tomato steaks for that barrel.
Well, little short tomato steaks.
I'm going to take an action that I've already put the work into. Nowadays, with actions that are on the market, it probably doesn't pay for me to take 700s and blueprint them, because by the time if my time's worth money, I can buy a Bighorn or other actions out there for the price that I'm going to spend in my time blueprint one. But I already had one, okay? I've got a 338-06, as I mentioned earlier. I don't shoot it much. So mine's probably the ultimate budget build. I want a hunting gun, but my hunting guns are probably more varmint guns. I'm not a hiker where I hunt. My particular ground where I hunt, I get to where I'm going and I sit in a heated blind and hunt that way. Unless I'm for coyotes, but I'm still sitting. I'm not hiking with this gun. So weight is not an issue for me. So it's going to be a heavy barreled
Okay.
In my preference, a heavy-barreled varmint hunting gun is what I'm going for.
Barrel length on you guys? You going short? I know Preston's
20.
going short. 20
Probably
inch for
20.
you? What are you going?
I'm 22, 24. I'm okay with a little length because, again, weight's not a problem for me.
Got it.
And I've heard a lot of things about harmonics, so I want to play with that. And I'm going to keep shortening that barrel until that's one of my tricks to get that group to come in. Look at him. He's frowning. He's wrong, folks. He's wrong.
I'm on
I'm going
Preston's
to do it.
You've been disproven on this podcast 9 times already.
No, bull.
Nope.
All right.
You'll have to listen in.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go short as well, probably 20 inches.
Yeah.
Excited to get this build going. Hopefully this gets the listener excited about wildcatting. Go through a reloading manual, look at what cartridges are out there, and just start daydreaming. Look at what new bullets are out there in certain calibers, and you can just start playing Monopoly and Jenga and whatever else in your brain with this stuff. Just some mental geometry, play some gymnastics with it, and get excited about building something cool, just if it's for the sake of it's different or it looks cool. Like,
Yep.
I will say there's a lot of Wildcats. We used to work in tech.
Yep.
We used to work on the phones. We'd get 50 calls a day and answer 50 emails a day. Like, a little monotonous, right? Some people aren't always happy when they call either, so that's always fun. But we used to dream up Wildcats all the time.
Yep.
I think out of all the Wildcats that I ever dreamed up, only one of them ever came to fruition. So be prepared when you maybe get a piece of brass of something that you wanted to do and you stick that bullet in there at the length that fits in your gun and it just looks ridiculous, right? It's not going to work. There's a lot of Wildcats that I've dreamed up that just make no sense whatsoever. So be prepared for that.
Of the Wildcats that I played around with while I was in tech, I only actually built one, which was at the time a 6.5, well, would have been a 300 RCM neck down to 7, which as it turns out was a 6.5 PRC neck up to 7.
Yep.
But daydreamed about that one, 2014 timeframe. And then I always wanted a 257, and I wanted a 30-degree improved. Now for this build, we're going to do the full 40-degree improvement. So good enough for me. But had I done this in 2013 or 14, I would have done a 30-degree improvement. But we're where you got the hydraulic form die, and we've got brass factory available going full 40.
Deal.
And let's face it, unless the cartridge was designed ground up from case up, every new cartridge is a Wildcat of some sort. At one point, it was a Wildcat, whether it started with a manufacturing company deciding to change something, it started as a Wildcat there. Okay, so every one of them is. You might decide to Wildcat because of your game laws. I just recently had somebody, again, we all know about the 358 Hoosier and some of those cartridges where they, exactly. Somebody said, well, I don't want to go with the Wildcats for my game laws. I want to make my own. I just got a call the other day, guys, got another idea on a 1.8 inch case length with a pistol caliber bullet. So, I mean, that might be the reason that you want to do it. There's tons of reasons why, but don't be scared.
No.
Get it. And we're going to talk about what we did and why we did it and all that good stuff. And the 40-degree, just because I want to be different. I mean, we've settled on it, but maybe we haven't yet. I might change that too.
We haven't ordered the reamer.
We have not ordered it yet.
We could compromise and do a 35 or something.
No, we got
I thought you already got the dies made.
Well, I did, but that's easy change.
All right, we'll figure this out. Walk with us on this journey, guys. Thanks for your time this morning talking about our new mini-series, How to Wildcat. Obviously, we're excited to get this going, so thanks again. I need to go order some parts. I'm guessing you guys do too.
Absolutely.
Preston shakes his head. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in on this episode about How to Wildcat. This is the first of several parts where we take concept to finished product on our very own Wildcat cartridge. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one.